Welcome to the Brass Junkies. I'm your host, Andrew Hitz, and today I am joined by my very giggly co-host, Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I'm filled with false enthusiasm.
Zoom, this is how not bright I am. Zoom has now changed where there's this voice that says like, you are being recorded, and then the guest like has a anyone who's not the host has a chance to like say yes or no, get me the heck out of here. But I used to just hit record and then immediately do it, but now I got to record and then pause it. So I was like,
I hit the wrong button. I'm still here.
It was yeah. Oh man. So I am really looking forward to this conversation that we are about to have with a composer, trombone player, tuba player, bass trombone player, bass trumpet player, producer, Reginald Chapman. He's incredible. He's a creative force, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him because he's a very interesting person.
Yeah, I can't wait. I don't know him at all, so I'm kind of fascinated to see what's up. He's way cooler than I am, so and that's not that big of a bar to try and leap over. But
you know who else is way cooler than you? Patrick Sheridan.
It's more of a lateral move. But I do want to take the opportunity, since you handed off so gracefully, to let you know that there's a Guide to the Brass Gym coming up with Patrick Sheridan in just a few weeks. I'm not sure when you're listening to this. I hope it's before the event has happened. Otherwise, you'll be so sad that you missed it. The event is, I know, of course, when it is. It's, let's see, June 14th through the 18th of the year 2021. And it takes place every morning, Monday through Friday of that week. There's a bonus hangout. There's a cool thing that happens every day of that week. It is a bargain at $149. You got to check it out. As of the moment I'm looking at it right now, you have 20 days and 20 hours. By the time you hear this, you will have less than that. How about that? And so there's practice room law, breathing and ear training, flow exercises, articulation of scales, flexibilities, the routine. I have been talking with Pat and, of course, Sam, the person he co-wrote these with, for years. Before the book
It's like you've been talking to Sam?
Before the book even existed, I knew of the packet and I knew of the development of these things. And so it's exciting to have watched the trajectory of this thing. And I've been bugging Pat for I don't know how long to have an event like this. So I'm very, very glad that it's happening. I will be there. I hope you will be there. The Guide to the Brass Gym with Patrick Sheridan. If you go to patricksheridan.com and click on the banner at the top, you'll be able to register, and we'll look forward to seeing you then.
Also, should be noted that he's offering $50 off with a discount code, which is on his website. So just go to patricksheridan.com. And while you're there, you should send Michael Parker of Parker Mouthpieces an email. I don't know how you do that from Pat's site, but because Parker Mouthpieces provides the hosting for the Brass Junkies, Parker Mouthpieces offers fine customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke Model euphonium mouthpiece. Mm-hmm. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. When you were you said you've been talking to Sam, I was like, man, did he really fake the whole death thing just to not talk to me? I mean, that seems like, I was going to be a little hurt. I got to be honest. So, but then I was like, wait, maybe I'm like, oh no, then you kept talking. So That event's going to be awesome. Check it out. This conversation that we are about to have with Reggie is going to be awesome. And, you know what else is awesome, Lance? And then we're going to get to the main event here. Everybody who's left a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the Brass Junkies, that really helps. And anybody who has shared it with a friend, either the whole podcast or a specific episode. And we've also started to do like an outro. So we've kind of done like you and I reacting to the interview thing afterwards. It's just all a part of this episode. So
how did I like it?
Well, we don't know yet. So we have started doing outros. So I've lost track. Well, the last one was a listener's choice. I don't know if we've done like one or two or three. I'm old enough that we have done an outro before, but it's not that many. So
we've done a number of them.
if anybody happened to have missed that one or two, then they will be like, wait, why are they signing off? It says that there's 10 minutes left, so that's why. Anyway, actually, it's a guided meditation that Lance will lead you on. So yeah, it's fantastic. So without further ado, let us get to our conversation with Reginald Chapman. And today on the Brass Junkies, we are joined by a low brass player. He plays like all of the low brass, and he plays them all well. He's a composer. He's an entrepreneur. He's a composer. He's an educator.
He's a composer. He said composer twice, so we should add it again. He's a low brass player. Yeah. He does so many things that it's kind of irritating actually. Electronic music, like he does it all really well. That's the annoying part. And he's also a super nice guy. His name is Reginald Chapman. How are you?
I'm trying to keep my composure.
See? Working for you, people.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be hanging out with you guys and spending a nice, fun Sunday. Just chatting it up about some low brass, some brass with the brass guys. Let's go. No, I'm good. I'm good. It's nice.
I like that you look like you're in one of those photo booths from the mall.
Yeah. So I live in New York, so I have to
That's pretty spacious, actually.
5x9 room, and it's like I got the curtain. You'll hear the crazy death metal if I open this up too wide or whatever. Also, I don't know if this is that type of show, but this is the best part of the whole show.
It's that type of show, by the way.
It's that type of show.
I don't know what you're gonna do, but yeah.
You guys want to see? This is my soundproofing here for the bottom of the door.
Nice.
So you know what I mean? No artifacts on my whatever my soundtrack recording in here. Like I've always seen these, and I was like, I told my wife, I was just like, oh, this is a perfect chance to finally get one of these dogs for the bottom of the door, and it actually works. I don't hear the death metal drummers out there, But yeah.
Actually, kind of looks like my dog.
Yeah, you got one of those dachshunds, right? Do you just put them at the bottom of your door?
I have a dachshund. She won't stay there, but I do put her there, but keeps moving.
Keep the draft out, make her earn her keep.
All right, so where do we start with this guy? I mean, we could start by asking him if he's a composer, which I hear he is a composer. No, well, digging through your bio, and I've been a fan of your music for a very long time. But I find it interesting, not unprecedented, but interesting that your undergrad degree was in classical music. And then your master's degree was in jazz, and I'm just wondering, was that a planned thing? Have you always been, involved in both improvisational and, I was going to say legit, which is awful, but you know what I mean, like non-improvisational. By the way, I spend a lot more time listening to improvisational music than I do the legit, which is like the illegit. I've never even thought of the connotations of that term before.
Yeah, there's a whole musicological road you could go down about.
It is.
But
I've never.
What this show is today.
Well, I mean, it can be. I've never thought of that, and that entire road is instantly obvious to me as soon as I just thought about it for this much time. So yeah. Anyway,
and also the idea of the genre of primitivism in music. Thinking about that. I think that's another one that we could question as a culture.
Yep.
Just because they weren't on the but also, I mean, Bach thought about improvisation all the time. That 5-part fugue that everyone loves so much, apparently it was improvised first for the king at the time.
But it was legitimate improvisation, Reggie. There's a difference.
It was.
Don't ask me how or why it was, but it just I've been told it just was.
It was legitimized by the king. The king was like, oh, look at 5 parts. How many fingers you got? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So I don't even remember the question, but this is fun. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, good.
That's going to be most of this interview.
That's like, that's good.
No,
we can't remember stuff because we're old, and you can't remember stuff because you're having fun. But that puts us on a level playing field, so it's good.
So the way it started out is, I grew up, in high school. My band director, Steve Turner, I got to give him a shout out because he's a huge influence. He was all over the board with everything, and he did very well with it. I know music isn't a competition, but we were winning awards and all of that. I was exposed to a lot of different music on all sides of music. And so yeah, improvisation was part of that, but also like getting my etudes and all the, we didn't do orchestra, but we did, band, lots of wind band stuff, wind ensemble, Fred Fennell type vibes. And so, yeah, the undergrad in classical was actually more of a practical approach. I think on the, especially on the side of my parents, they were like, hey, if you're going to go into music, you should get this like sheet of paper that you can put into this slot that'll then return you a job so that you can exist in the world, which is super responsible of them, especially considering, where we grew up in Williamsburg, Virginia, specifically, that area, that part of Virginia, there's not a huge music industry. I mean, we played at Busch Gardens a bunch. I played at Busch Gardens for years during summers, and I played in this band called the Kahuna Tune Ahs, TUNE-AHS, in Water Country, like Hawaii 5-0 and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I got in, and VCU didn't offer a music education track that focused on jazz. And so I went into doing the classical thing, but to be honest, I was okay with it. Like, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is fun. I enjoyed my my teacher, Ross Walter, my main advisor at the time.
He's awesome.
And oh yeah, Ross. Yeah,
I do.
Man, he really set me up like really amazing fundamentals in a really good way. And I don't know, like we always forget, but like there are more things that you're learning than just music in this. And so he really looked after me in that sense as well, which was nice.
What else did he teach you?
Oh, I think it was more on the lines of showing up and getting it done, doing all the things I need to do. I like, to be honest, like I just wanted to play the instrument. I didn't really care about anything else. And I was young, and it was so much easier to just like, whatever, like, just full disclosure. There was this 0 credit class that I was supposed to be done with in like 2 and 4 semesters. I didn't finish it until the very end of my tenure because I didn't care. I was just like, whatever, guys, cool. I'm just gonna go play trombone. But so he kind of was like, come on, he kept me going, which was great. Because it had I not finished out VCU and done all the fire hoops that you're supposed to do in a liberal arts degree like that, I wouldn't have been able to go on and study from Jim Pugh for the master's and doctoral degree. Right. That wasn't, when that happened, that wasn't even on my radar. But as far as improvisation, I wasn't in undergrad. I was always in the big band, and what's cool about being a bass trombone player is like you always get to hang out with the cool kids in the big band. Even now, like I'm just like in New York, I feel like everybody in the band can like blow circles around me, but I'm the bass trombone player, so like no, I don't have to like be able to improvise well, even though I feel like I can, and I can, some people like let me do, but it's just like, but I get to be around all these people who teach me all this cool stuff that otherwise like I didn't, because I have a utilitarian role. But yeah, so I my initial improvisational things were I played with this band. First, it was called Yo Mama's Brass Band, and we had like a weekly thing, and we were playing around town, and it was cool. Like what was cool about VCU is like from the get, it was an open campus in a city. So I was playing gigs. Like there was always application. There was never this, like, oh, when you get out of here, it's going to be like this. It was from the beginning. I was playing for, until 2 o'clock in the morning on a Monday night for like, grown-ups. And I would wake up for my 8 o'clock strings method class, like, you know what I mean? Which is also a part of life, right? You have to. So I was getting ready to meet like that. Those were the things you guys still gotta kill it in the strings methods class. Got to do it. So yeah, so the brass band thing was a thing, and ultimately like that crew kind of got shut down in a certain sense and was reborn as No BS Brass. And so I played and wrote for that band for years. I had this band called UTV Chamber, which was my band, like as a band leader, and it had Marcus Tenney and Devon Harris from Butcher Brown, and some people from No BS, Mary Lawrence Hicks, who's a DC, I believe. These days she's playing trumpet. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's really killing. Mm-hmm. This guy named Stuart Jackson, who's like, he was like, we didn't have ethnomusicology, but imagine like he was like that person. Like he was playing all the instruments. He always wore brown, you know what I mean? Like that's my homie though. Yeah, right? Like I'm sorry.
He was a music educator where I went to
but
school.
he was the musicology kid before I even knew what musicology kids were like. I was like, oh, that's him. You know what I mean? We're like reading the Bhagavad Gita and stuff, and he's like, but he could play anything. He's amazing. He's from Williamsburg also. I'm not talking crap. I love him. He's amazing. But anyway, so that was cool. That was the thing. And that, I guess my improvisational hunger was fed mostly. I was really into third stream approach music and like the idea of 12-tone music and all of that, and how that mixed with free jazz and especially the work of was it Steven Nachmanovich, the Free Play? Is that the author's name? Yeah, check him out. Yeah, there's this book called Free Play, and improvisation in a life and art, and he's this clarinet player. He actually came to the school, and it's basically a more like a less chord scale, less learn this tune, you have to know all these tunes approach to improvisation. It was a more of a like, you are who you are, like let's just explore the space, feel the space type thing. Like, what comes into existence, like is whether or not you meant it or not, it happened. So let's use that, sort of kind of like a really hippy dippy, like, sort of Zen approach. And he literally like quotes a lot of sort of Eastern philosophies and such in his approach. But you should check him out. Like he really, I think between him and this guy, Corey Blake, that, like his visit really rippled through the especially classical school at VCU. Just because it was a hey, you don't have to know how to like play all these like licks and blah 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 in order to improvise. You can do this. And so like, I don't know, it's almost the difference between when you hear the word like improvisation versus aleatory. Aleatory, like when someone gives you ideas and you can kind of like follow with them, and there's really no wrong way. Or maybe there is, maybe it's, like a more like sort of John Cagean approach to improvisation. But that was kind of the beginning of it, and that was the UTV initially was called Use the Vastness. It's so icky, right? It was so we were just like young, like hipster hippie kids, like just playing.
I had a band called Use the Valve Oil, but that was not as successful.
Oh, that's no, man. It's good. It's good. No, it's funny. Yeah. So I remember we played this. Someone asked us to play this like backyard, like a cookout type thing. And we had like one song, and for the rest of the 45 minutes, we played free for like 40. I think they were pissed. They were like mad about it. They're like, no. But so that's kind of, between that and just like, playing with, I played in this Afrobeat band and playing in like all these groups. I played in a punk ska band. which was really dope. And like, you know, there's videos of me like crowd surfing and playing whatever. So, you know, that's kind of where I got my like initial improvisatory you know, like, you know, got my lips wet or whatever, however they said, wet my appetite or whatever that means.
I told you this guy was interesting, Lance. Right?
and so yeah, because I'm talking about some wet lips or something.
No, because of like this. You just introduced us to this free play improvisation in life and art book, which I just threw into the show notes, like which I'm going to be reading, and it's like, yeah, you just
it's really good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of the problem is, I mean, it's a cultural thing, unfortunately, you know. But it's just like, just because you don't sound like this or that doesn't mean you can't improvise. Like, we're improvising this conversation right now.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever. I don't know. I'll get off my my soapbox. Or whatever.
No,
but like,
I hope you don't.
I think what you're saying is important. I mean, I think you're ignoring the immense amount of preparation that we did for this conversation. I mean, the three of us have been talking about it for a week.
Yeah, like weeks. Yeah, it was crazy. I had to write this long, you know, dissertation. It was like 20 pages with like, you know, the formatting. They kept getting back on me on the formatting, and I just, you know, I'm kind of an MLA guy. They're trying to do Chicago, and Chicago, was it Chicago, Maryland?
Lance is a big
even spell MLA.
Lance is a big endnotes guy. I'm more of a footnotes guy. So we actually there's some internal fighting in Pedal Note Media. So
yeah, I'm more of a pedal note guy. So
yeah, there you go.
You know, if you didn't say pedal notes media, that would have been a really great joke. you should edit out when you said pedal notes media. I'll be like, I'm a pedal.
Oh, there's so many things we should edit out. But don't.
There's a few.
just keep the inhale. So we're like.
All right, I have a couple more questions. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about your college career, but it's fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a couple of areas I do want to hit on. And so you developed this interest and affinity and have a whole bunch of experiences doing really cool stuff. So then what is the process of looking for a school to pursue that at the graduate level look like?
I'm sorry, I'm going to be of zero help here.
Oh, good. Well, that's just as useful.
No, because I literally, like, I'm just going to let everyone know, like, I'm an old man, sort of, whatever. But I started undergrad in 2004, and I didn't graduate until 2011. And so I took victory laps. I took time off. Like, I was in Richmond. You know, we're playing pretty much, like, at one point I was playing every night. And I was a barista, and I was happy, you know, super cheap rent, no family, you know, like no wife and kids, none of that stuff. Like, I was just, you know, we were going out of town and playing, you know, shows, and like, it was easy and fun and amazing, great community, all of that. So I actually didn't think about graduate school, because I was like, here I am, like, let's go. I'm going to write this out. This is my life. All right. You know? And then what happened is Jim Pugh came to town, and we played the you know, Ross Walter, like I said, being the good shepherd, the good brass shepherd he is, was like, hey, this is an opportunity for you, like, you know, let's do this. And so I was a huge fan of Dave Taylor and Jim Pugh from their early YouTube video from ITA or ATW. I think it was called ETW back then. Eastern Trombone Workshop, for those wondering what that means. They played the Duo Concertante by Daniel Schneider. And, you know, I was a huge, still am, Dave, huge Dave Taylor fan. Like, because he's the cat, like, in my opinion, like, he's got that, you know, obviously, like, I love Bill Reichenbach as well. And I got a chance to, go to his house underneath the Hollywood sign and hang out with him in his room of like 50 kabillion con trombones and all of that stuff. You know, but Dave was like specifically on like some East Coast, like, it doesn't, like, that's sort of like improvisation in life and art. Like, he's like, yo, like, this is who I am. I'm going to play what I play. You know what I mean? And like, there's lots of crazy rumor mill myths of like, does he even know how to play changes or all this stuff? But he didn't care, that swag. You know what I mean? Like, and so I was a huge fan, and I loved just the way he punctuates his lines and everything. So I had already basically memorized that music. He came by, he gave me the music, the sheet music, and I looked at it for like a night. I had already memorized it. And we played it. I played for him the Brass Scene Kid solo, the No BS thing, and and he was just like, "Whoa, what is this?" And by the end of his stay, his week long stay at VCU, he offered me a full fellowship, like as in they're going to pay a full ride plus they're paying. I got paid to go to school the first year, which is really awesome. So I bought so much ridiculous. I bought like stuff that I shouldn't have bought.
I didn't buy anything in college that I shouldn't have bought. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, just for like individually wrapped cashews, like glass harmonicas, hurdy-gurdies. What are we gonna do with the hurdy? Does anybody even play hurdy-gurdies? You know what I mean?
Free range pistachios.
Yeah. I was just like, yo, what's their name? What did they eat? Was it like how many miles a day did they get to walk?
So what
like,
did you eat in college?
What did I eat, or the pistachio?
All right.
Anyways, no. So basically, he offered me that, and then I got my stuff together. I was holding on by a string. I could have finished school like 2-3 years prior. I just finished this, like all of my things or whatever. They asked Ross about that 0 credit class that I like still didn't pass, and they were like, "You talked up for it." It's like, "No, he's cool." And then I went on and did the master's and the doctoral degree at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign.
Well, I want to find out what your DMA dissertation was about. But Andrew, you know how sometimes we're proud of our segues.
Yes.
Well, are you ready for this?
Are we there already? Like,
are you ready? You ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead, Lance.
So Jim Pugh, you said, was a big influence on you. You know where Jim Pugh went to school? Duquesne University, home of the Mary Papert School of Music, and one of the sponsors of the Brass Junkies. Go to the link on the show notes, you'll be able to find out all the places that you can play while you're there and all the folks that you can study with. Jimmy Pugh is a Pittsburgh guy and studied with Matty Shiner, and the Shiners were legendary teachers in Western Pennsylvania. And so actually there's a bunch of practice studios and areas that are devoted to and plaques for the Shiner brothers. So click on the show notes and go check out what's going on at the Mary Papert School of Music. And very special thanks to Jim Ain't No Pew Nova for making it all possible.
Yeah,
that was really, really, really slick.
Not bad.
That was not bad at all.
Bad.
Yeah, that was like an alley-oop. I was like,
that's as much athleticism as I can muster. Actually.
Yeah.
That was good.
So, what was it like moving to Champaign, like from a place like Richmond?
Are we doing the Patreon version or the?
No, I mean, I'm not looking for you to be like, saying, bad things, but like.
No. I got you.
But specifically, I mean, and you can, but like specifically, what you were talking about going to, that you were in. It really struck me that you talked about going to undergrad in a place where you could apply everything that you were doing, like in real time. Yeah. And like Richmond has a much different scene for what you were doing than Champaign. Yeah. So it's just interesting to have that and then possibly not have that. I'm wondering if you could unpack that.
So it was interesting. I mean, I asked Jim, and I'm like, "Hey, so what's it like out there?" He's like, "Oh, it's cornfields." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool." I mean, it's free college. Everyone's like, "Yo, you have to go." And it's Jim Pugh. He's like all of that stuff. Excuse me. And so I remember this is before I got smart and realized that I should take the little puddle, spend the extra cash, take the puddle jumper plane from Chicago to Urbana-Champaign. I get to Chicago. Chicago's cool. I'm like, all right, yeah. And then we get on the bus, and literally, like, I'm pretty sure that the bus driver just taped the steering wheel to the dash and just put it on like, you know, auto, right? And just like fell asleep for like 2 hours because, you know, it's just straight. There's just nothing for 2 hours.
Straight.
Nothing. It's straight. And then you left, right, you can see as far as you can see for 2 hours. It's like it's like when you're watching the old cartoons and the same thing goes by or whatever. It's like that. You know, so I'm like, okay, you know, and I don't think I'd spent any much time in the Midwest. So I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I had seen this. This is cool. You know, get there, you know, especially on the outskirts, you know, Champaign-Urbana is pretty, or Urbana-Champaign, depending on if you're from there or not. It's pretty, it's kind of a dusty place on the outskirts, you know what I mean? Like imagine all that cornfield, like kind of like, you know, and then you get in there and, you know, there's great community. It's just like, it's normal, like on the inside, you know, there's lots of suburban type things. And it's cool. It's actually a really great college town. The campus itself is it's TV college. Like, I'm pretty sure they went there and drew like Monsters U, like, you know what I mean? Like they have a green, like a TV college green, and people actually lay out on the green, like type thing. There's I think it has the biggest like fraternity presence in the United States. So they have like huge sorority houses, fraternity houses for everything, you know, Alpha, Beta, Kappa, Psi, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like, all that stuff is there. And so like, yeah, I mean, it was a transition. And you know, it's funny because like all of my, historically, even like all my skill sets are like, I don't know, I guess I like all the weird stuff, or like all the stuff that other people don't do or something, hence bass trombone or whatever. So like, you know, I was really good at, you know, I arranged stuff before I got there, but I never wrote it down. Our culture in Richmond was you just memorize everything. If someone writes a song, we sit in a room and they teach you your part, and you remember your part for next time. Like sheet music never entered in unless they wrote it down first. But like we were all too ADD, in my opinion, to even like look at that. Like it was just like, yo, just teach it to me. All right, cool, I got it. Like here we are. And it was such a small community, so that like, you know, you're always seeing the same people. It's not like you have subs or whatever. Just a heads up, my earpods might die, in which case I'll do just the speaker here. Hopefully it'll be fine.
I'll weep openly until we switch over, but
Lance will get super mad, but I'll talk him down. It's fine.
Okay, sorry, Lance. Sorry, man.
So what was
but yeah, so musically I get there. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off. But like it you know, the Midwest vibe in my opinion is like very, like I went to jazz school and I'm excited. That's what Jim teaches at the jazz school, even though we all know he can do anything and has done everything, you know. And man, the head of the jazz department, Chip McNeil, you know, open arms. Everyone was open arms. The only difference though is the style, you know, they're in like Indiana and stuff. Like I'm not trying to say it's exactly like this, but this is how I saw it. It's very like bebop oriented. Very, you know, if you could sound like, you know, 1960s JJ, 1950s vibes, like post-bop vibes, you know, Art Blakey vibes, you know, not even getting into like, you know, 70s like fusion or anything. If you could sound like that, then you're like the best person for this place. Like that's the kind of down the center, like meat and potatoes, like academic, you know, jazz vibes, you know. And so I don't know, I not so much from the teachers, but from like the community, like the student community, everybody was like really trying to go after that sound, because like, I mean, truth be told, that is a really good foundation to have. But that's, you know, I'm on bass trombone, which never into this moment really mattered to me. I was just Reggie Chapman, who happened to play bass trombone, and I made it work everywhere I went. You know, like I definitely went from playing like every night to like no one really called me for gigs and stuff, like because I didn't know rhythm changes or like, you know, all the John Coltrane turnaround on the blah 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 and all that. Like none of that was really important to me, or in my opinion, to many people where I came from. Like we were into like quote unquote art music and indie rock and like, you know, like hip hop and like, you know, more just different, more colloquial musics, you know. And so that was kind of a tough transition. But you know, I found my friends and I found my group, and we did the thing, and you know, the teachers were always supportive of like my creative artistic vision, and all the while saying, hey, like, I know you like Robin Eubanks, and it seems like he's playing all this like crazy, like, you know, hip hop modal like mixed meter jazz, but check out this video of him playing with Art Blakey, and he sounds like JJ Johnson. It's just like, yo, it's okay for you to like learn how to play a blues in that style. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? And so so I learned, while like in some ways I felt like it was like kind of a retrograde of sorts, you know, stylistically or whatever, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot of fundamentals and foundational things that ultimately have like, you know, allowed me to grow and be and survive, you know, like today, all day, you know.
I used to listen to this guitar player named Willie Porter, who was just incredible, just an amazing guitar player. And he lived, probably still does, up in Wisconsin, Green Bay or someplace. And he was on some show I was listening. They said, have you ever thought about moving to Nashville or someplace? And he said, the winters in Green Bay are a wonderful incentive for me to stay in and practice my guitar.
There you go.
So,
yeah, no. That was certainly the vibes, you know, lots of that. And I was, the whole time I was always super self-conscious about it, because I came from a community and culture that was very performance based, and that's how we grew. And so I'm just like, whoa, am I losing here? Am I missing out? Am I like, I haven't expoed my music for real people forever. I'm just sitting on this hamster wheel. But ultimately it did help out. Like I can say, yeah.
That's so interesting, because you know, there's no way you can't swim without getting in the water. And so it's hard for people. How many students go through an undergraduate career and they only play a recital or a couple of recitals, and then they play in some large ensemble things, and maybe if they're lucky, some chamber things or a big band thing. But by the time you got to the end of your undergrad, which I don't care, I mean, nobody should care how long that took. Like, it got you where you're going.
Took you how long?
You had played how many gigs? Like, by the time, like, you know what's working with an audience, what isn't working with an audience, how to deal with a manager, or how to deal with a booker, how to deal with a heckler. Like, you knew, like, there's students that are now, they're graduating, some of them today, and they're going to go off, and then their first club date might be in 2 weeks, and they're about to have a very rude awakening.
Oh yeah. Oh, all day. And that's another thing that was cool about U of I is, like, you know, University of Illinois. They, you know, I called it a professional sabbatical, even though I don't even know if that really, you know, why did you leave? Oh, it was a professional sabbatical. No, I took, you know, between like beginning of like middle of like doctoral, like and end of doctoral stuff. And I mean, before that I had a you know, I moved back to Richmond and did I taught at VCU adjunct for 2 years, and you know, and I went on tour with this band Houchin, amazing indie rock group, and did my own thing, recorded 2 albums, one of which is about to come out later this year, with amazing people from Richmond. My debut album, like, hadn't I taken that sabbatical, like all of these things wouldn't have happened. But even while I was at U of I remember specifically, I had the TA, and No BS, you know, had a bunch of tour dates, and they were like, hey, like, we understand that this is part of who you are and what you do and what we're trying to teach you. Also, you're going to bring that energy back to our students and all of the people. Also, I mean, they never said this, but like, I know the game. Like, if I'm killing it out there, right, we're talking about U of I right now. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it would behoove them to like allow their students to go on and like be actual, like, and they get it. Like, all those guys that they've been in the industry. I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they've probably been in the industry longer than they've been at U of I, and they know how the world works and turns. And so, I was out on tour with No BS Brass, and I would just sub out my TA ship to like some, other really great players. And I would come back and be the TA and do that. But that's when the Brass Scene Kids video, if you haven't checked it, check it out. Like that one kind of put me on the map in a certain sense, and I'm still living off like the energy of that. But that was during one of my semesters at U of I, and that whole, I actually think like I look back at that video, and I was really in shape, and that's because I was waking up every day doing the gym pew packet, doing, you know what I mean? I was like in the dojo at the time. I didn't have to worry about like, dude, I had to cross through Brooklyn to get here today, and like I didn't have to worry about paying way too much for 5x9 rooms or anything. You know what I mean?
For your death metal closet.
Yeah, exactly, man. They're out there. You can hear them. Yeah. But yeah, no, they were very supportive in that, and I highly recommend that people try to do as much. I mean, and that's not to say, I mean, there's a really great scene at U of I, like a lot. I believe increasingly, people are playing at local clubs. There's this place called the Iron Post. The guy who owned the place recently died. Rest in peace. A really great guy who sewed a lot into the culture there. There's a huge there's a huge like fan base of mostly older people that come and support the students at these clubs around town on the regular. I mean, like every day you'll see. There's some people I just saw every single day, and they're retired, and they came out and they knew everyone's name, and they watched you for like the 4 or 5 years you're there. And there's also really great, just because of where I came from, like I was, I'm still am like, into indie rock and all of those types of things. So I made great connections there with non-jazz musicians, non-classical musicians, and did a lot of arranging for singer-songwriters and recordings and, things like that. So, there's definitely ways to be able, it's not just like sitting in a practice room at U of I. I don't want people to get it twisted over here. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus.
Well,
but yeah.
My last question about the whole college thing, because you have new music coming out, which we need to for sure talk about. But what kind of capstone or project did you have to have for your DMA? Like, what was it just a series of recitals?
DMA, I don't want to give. I've been kind of sitting on this thing. Mostly. Yeah. No. I'll tell you a little teeny bit, because it's high time that I get it out here. But basically, my whole Ross Walter does not. He might, but he doesn't really play bass trombone. So he's my first teacher really. So he never really had much to say about valve usage. It was always open season for me. There was no axioms, none of that. I only got like weirdness from visiting professors, and so I'd be playing F sharp in the first position at the top of the staff. And I'm like, hey, it's a note. And then someone would be like, what are these kids playing? And I would just be like, wait, I sound great. I know I sound good. Just because I play in first, it's a note. It's on the horn. You know what I mean? Like
those are the same rules that made Bach's improvisation legit. So they're unwritten, but they come from the same place.
It's not.
Who are you gonna believe, me or your lion ears?
No, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you, and I get it, and it's funny, but just to like get it straight, man, like the whole idea of like the fixed musics, like all these guys were great improvisers, that came from the person that was the guy's name, Kerschel. Who's the Kerschel number? Who's the guy? Yes, that came from the Kerschels of. I don't know Kerschel did.
Talk about a party animal. Oh my God!
But this came from the guys who are codifying the music. These people write it in stone, and so basically, I do a historical thing. Man, I have a double valve tenor bone that Mike make me, and it made me, and it has old Williams valves on it, and they're stuffy. Like back in the day when they first started putting valves on the horns, because as Americans, we were not cool enough to have contrabass trombones, and Bartok decided to write this gliss that he didn't realize that Americans don't really mess with the bass trombone like that. So now we got to figure it out. Some ingenuity, whatever.
Bella turning a whole country on its head.
Yeah, exactly, man. That guy and his primitivism. But the valve was stuffy. And so the whole axiom of don't use the valve unless you have to, it made sense about, when was that, 30s, 40s or whatever? It made all the sense in the world. It's like, this sounds like, I'm not going to curse, but it sounds like crap. This sounds, and so I played some of those old horns, and yeah, it's got a vibe to it, but the valves are stuffy and they sound stuffy. They don't sound as good as the open horn. And so, but what happened is, like, someone wrote that down one day, and then now it's like, yo, okay, don't use the valves. Don't use the valves because you have to. It's just like, yo, the technology has completely opened up. Right? You know what I mean? Like, we got these axial flows, the open flows, the through flows, with Thayer valves. Okay, now we're not using Thayer valves. Like, someone's going to bring the Thayer valve, like all this stuff. And it sounds amazing. And it feels the pressure is equal across all the things. And so, I don't want to give it up too much, but, I recodified a system and created a new notation system, and these ways of what do they say? I know this is like a busted myth, but they say we only use like 20% of our brain. The bass trombone is actually 4 trombones, and we only use the B flat side and some of the other sides of the horn. We have 4 trombones in our hand, and we're using 1 point blah 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 trombone. And that doesn't make any sense, because now we legitimately have 4 trombones in our hand. And so why don't we learn how to use it? And so it's like a bunch of pages about what I'm talking about there. And then so if that's the case, that's cool. And, the technology, all of that stuff. And then how can we not just understand this or have this as a philosophical, like, perspective or like a busting myth, but how can we, like, seemingly put this into our pedagogy and, like, really kind of like teach ourselves how to do this, like on a sort of like daily bread approach. Because I could tell anybody every day there's 7 different ways you can play F on the modern bass double valve independent bass trombone. I can say that to you, but that doesn't mean you're going to go home and, like, when you do it. But once you start to build that in, you get into a musical situation where it just makes sense, and you're like, oh, or rather do valve articulation or whatever, it just makes sense, or just like color palette, all of those things. So that's what I wrote about.
That's fascinating.
It's like,
that's a game changer. That's a literal game changer.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start. I haven't been doing this, but I'm gonna start. So now you hear the death metal. There it is. I think you can hear it now.
Oh,
it's
barely.
Like Coheed and Cambria or something. Some like Mars Volta or something. But yeah. So
sort of sounds like inside my head all the time.
I'm gonna start like slow leaking this on my website. I have a members only area called Chap U. If you don't want to take the time, I'll take it personal. I take it personal, but if you don't want to take the time to like actually spend time with me via Zoom or whatever, you can get like a portion of me on this Chap U. It's $10 a month. And I basically am just throwing all my PDFs. I put like a lot of my albums and stuff on there, like way before they're done. Sometimes work in progress. If you're interested in cool. what I'm like working on, I'll put like, like that Darius album that we're going to talk about has been up there in various forms for like the last few weeks. I recently just started putting, I'm calling them zines. These sort of like mini sessions of me like talking about ideas and all of these things. And, it's really fun because anybody who pays me to be part of this, I know that they care about my perspective, and so I don't have to be self-conscious about it. So I've kind of stopped putting educational material like just free range on the internet and via YouTube and everything, because I'm my skin isn't thick enough for all the haters. And I've been putting it here, and it's awesome. It's like really great. I don't have to be self-conscious. So if you're wondering what I think about certain things, or there's some hot takes on there. I like buzzing. Some people don't like buzzing, but the truth is, if you live in a place like this, you don't have time to do all of your warm-ups ever. And so you have to let people look at you weird on the subway while you're on your way to a Broadway hit, and you played until 2 a.m. and you just woke up, and you can't go to your closet in the middle of Bushwick, meatpacking district or whatever. Like, you gotta buzz. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you stuff like that. Basically, all the wrong things that actually help me out.
That's great.
That's so good. Yeah. I'm so excited.
So I'm down to one ear pod now, so we'll see how far we can run. I'm gonna charge this one while we
Lance, you know what the meatpacking district reminds me, meatpacking industry reminds me of is Houchin Horns. Actually.
Yeah, that's true. Houchin Horns is a. I'm glad you brought that up, because I keep meaning to tell you that Houchin Horns aims to spread the joy of music through providing the highest level of product, services, and resources to the brass playing community. If that wasn't enough, you can do repair. They have repairs and customizations in house. You can browse vintage and consignment instruments at HouchinHorns.com. Oh, you know what?
What?
Houchin Horns is a premier brass pro shop with its impressive lineup of the best instruments, accessories, sheet music, and more. Not only that, they have newly expanded policies that make it easier to purchase and test drive the best equipment during a time when safety and staying home are top priorities.
I mean, their policies were good, and then they expanded them. It's very thoughtful.
And they've hit that on the head for me. My priorities are safety and staying home. There's a 15-day money-back guarantee with shipping.
In the other order.
In the other order, exactly right. On all new instruments and accessories with multiple easy financing options on all inventory. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. You can have a free in-person virtual equipment consultation with their team of professional musicians. And if you enter the promo code Junkies11, that's Junkies11, at online checkout, you will receive $500 off your purchase of a new instrument from HouchinHorns.com. Thank you so much to Mark Houchin for helping make that possible.
We will.
Good day, sir.
We are never going to have a more engaging facial expression on a guest during a spot read than what Reggie was just giving us.
It's just so impressive. I'm just like, you should do voiceover. Do you do voiceover?
Why, thank you. I have done some voiceover for some projects that I teach at Carnegie Mellon, and there's a bunch of video game creation that happens there, and sometimes they call me in to do like the science doctor on the alien ship that's gone awry, and then it's just panic and all this crap going on.
You should say he was a bass trombone player.
He was a bass trombone player.
He was a podcaster.
Ready to take on the world.
Little did they know.
Trigger at a time.
One trigger.
So, go check out Chap U.
How many horns are you holding in your head? Who knows?
4. It looks like 1, but it's actually 4. You can play the F in 77 different positions. But only if you sign up now.
Terms and conditions.
This is terms and conditions apply in Puerto Rico.
You just said Puerto Rico and then a bunch of gibberish. That's pretty good. That's right. All right, somehow we've gone to bonus episode when we're still in the main episode. But before we talk to you about your new album, which is actually interesting, you mentioned spaceships, and right now behind my house, there's large woods behind my house here outside of DC. And the cicadas are out. Like the brute. Well, and their mating call in the woods. It sounds like, it's loud. It sounds like there is like a 150-foot long like alien space ray gun that's just being like it's like if you have not heard this, you couldn't believe how loud it is. It's crazy. And there's just like
cicadas love that. They can't get enough of that.
They love it so much that they go hide for 17 years.
Yeah, 17 years. That's right.
They're like, yo, we're out. Let's go. We're gonna go hard, and then we're gonna be like these little husks on the ground. Wait, are they falling out? They just die. Like they're like big, and they just like croak. And,
they get rid of their shells, and then what do they do? Don't they? I think that they then
shells.
They get rid of their shells, and then they bury themselves. Right. And then I think they lay eggs, and then they die, I think, underground. There's some bug expert that's going to email and be very mad.
Yeah, exactly. But,
but I know that they come from, they're like, the eggs are like doing their thing for 17 years.
Wow, that's actually how that's how oboe players reproduce too.
Yes.
Same sound too, actually.
Wait, so the real question is: do cicadas make their own reeds?
John Cicada does, but otherwise, no.
Oh, God. All right. Before we run out of time, we have to talk about your most recent album. Just tell us all about it, because it's awesome, but it's also under this moniker, and it's like you have so much interesting stuff going on. But tell us everything about it.
Okay, so
oh no.
You were suddenly.
So we're live.
Now we're good.
The speaker here.
We're
oh
back.
My goodness, which is not that loud. Let me see. I might have a dongle around here. Sorry.
While he looks for his dongle, I want to point out that all of the links that we're talking about, including the link to the Bandcamp page where you can find out and actually buy Wake and Tape, which is the album we're about to talk about. You can, if you click on there, you'll be taken directly to the Bandcamp page. And then while you're there, buy that. And then while you're there, then pop back out and buy the rest of the stuff that they've put out too.
Oh.
Perfect. Okay, so I've charged the other one, so we're going back and forth now. So Pressure Fit. A really interesting thing happened. I got a record label deal, which is awesome, with this label out of Portland called Fresh Selects, and makes me feel happy because this is a mostly it started as a lo-fi hip hop label right when that thing started about 10 years ago now, actually, like a long time ago, right at the peak of it, or at the beginning of it, the impetus. And everybody now, like, lo-fi is like a really fun, like, hip hop, a household name. Everybody knows lo-fi and chill hip hop, blah, blah, blah. But they've done some pretty cool things over time. They put on Mind Design and Knowledge. They put on this guy, Braxton Cook, who toured with Christian Scott for years. They put a lot of really great artists on. So it's this sort of hip hop meets jazz record label. And the best part about it, no offense to us and our kind here as horn players, regular people like the music. So like, it actually works.
What are you saying, Reggie?
Irregular
we're not
people
regular
like
people.
our music.
We as in this, us in general. I'm sitting here with a bunch of tubes. Come on.
But how many horns are you holding?
Yeah, 4 tubes.
Goodness, I have so many tubes. Oh, nice. I got 2 tubes to there. Anyways. So we so in signing that, I actually I made an agreement that I was going to be exclusive with them in a certain capacity with my music, which is awesome because they do great work and they've really pushed me in a certain way. I have another album coming out on Fresh Selects under the Reginald Chapman name, coming out in around October. And it's got some really great guest artists, brass player, and otherwise, which is, it's going to be great. I'm excited about it. In the meantime, I've been working on I've always been into producing, starting out with using the SP44 and trying to make as much outboard lo-fi music as possible. And so in order to kind of not cross my streams too much, In that way, I use this moniker pressure fit. The idea, I used to think that press fit horns were called pressure fit horns. So I was really just trying to say press fit, but I called it pressure fit after, like, because I think that's really cool technology, that they used to make these horns back in the day that you don't have to screw together. So it's supposed to be kind of like a brass thing, but also the whole idea of diamonds, are made under pressure. Like, in general, I feel like I grow the most when I'm put into situations that cause, that I'm under pressure. So that's where it comes from. It's a weird name. I don't know if it, hopefully it'll catch on. But yeah, so if you go on the Bandcamp and also Spotify and everything, you can kind of see where I've been going with this. The most recent, just to get to it, the most recent thing, I've been into a lot of house music, especially since being on the road with Lucky Chops. We did 7 weeks in Europe, and like most nights we were trying to find the house club, the like EDM, like, because it's weird. It's not even on some like let's go clubbing type thing. Like, they really do the electronic music thing right there, and it's amazing, and it's a great experience, especially the DJs, like just the way they like the slow burn, like part of the night. It's super musical, and a lot of that culture and music started in Detroit, but in Chicago, but has like really taken off in a great historic way in Europe and UK. And so after that, like during the pandemic specifically, man, I got so many house records on vinyl just from living in Brooklyn, and that was kind of getting me through. So I did a lot of production, specifically with this guy Darius Christian. He's a trombone player who plays with Macklemore and lots of other like super famous people. He's kind of like one of the pop trombonists. Gwen Stefani. He recently just did a Saturday Night Live like 2 weeks ago with Miley Cyrus. Yeah, he's a cat. It's cool. We're both from the DMV area, from Virginia. He's from Baltimore, I believe. I'm sorry, Darius, if I got that wrong. But so we kind of share a kinship. Like there's something in the water in that part of the country that's like, I believe, kind of not unites people like culturally in a really like interesting, cool way. Same way, like if you go to California, like California people act like California people or whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, whatever. But so we hang out.
I might be full of crap. I don't care.
Oh yeah, I probably am. I know I am. I actually am. No, but yeah, so we've been meeting over Zoom for like the last year, basically, since this thing started. And we've been producing this album. At first, we used to try to do Zoom sessions together and record it. We had our DAWs open, but then it kind of just turned into this sort of a mailing back and forth type thing. So he would just drop all the stems, and I'm really into. I don't have my full studio. I had a full analog studio before moving here, and I had to disassemble it before I moved into this room. But this is it's an Electribe. It's kind of one of my newer acquisitions. This is a step sequencer and sampler. Here's another one of my favorites here. This is an SP4. So this technology, it's it's very tactile. It's especially as a brass player, like someone who I want to feel like I'm playing the music rather than just like kind of clicking and dragging. This creating electronic music with this is really speaks to me. But what's cool is I'm recording trombones and stuff, and then processing the horns through these machines, along with drums and all of that stuff. And so and then also being a nerd about it, so I went super down the UK drum and bass and UK jungle hole, went super down the house hole, techno hole, like just like really like, where is this music coming from? Like, what makes it work? What are the signatures of this style? Like, how can I reproduce this and all of this? And then, like letting it go and putting brass over it and hearing what I'm hearing and making. So it's a very hopefully informed what's the word? It's an informed electronic meets brass thing. And then Darius is also a multi instrumentalist, so he's singing on some of the tracks, and playing bass and guitar, and we're using different electronic synths, and Ableton. He's an Ableton guy. I'm a Logic guy, so which is fun actually. Like, since we're not working with exactly the same portals and stuff, like the whole thing gets its unique sound. I played a lot of rotary flugel on it, which is fun. Lots of bass trombone, lots of bass trumpet as well. Got my bass trumpet here.
Nice.
So it's right now it's on pre-order. By the time you hear this, it's probably going to be out, assuming this is going to be online for the rest of our lives. But you can find it on the Pressure Fit. Remember, it's this Pressure Fit. You can find it on the Pressure Fit Bandcamp. If you pre-order, that would be awesome. That helps us out with the algorithm. But otherwise, it's there. The album is called Wake and Tape EP. And yeah, you can find it and download it, and it'll be out on all streaming platforms. The follow on the June 3rd. Yes, June 3rd, 2021. How old? What just happened? That was a Back to the Future moment.
He's just had a. So we're going to talk to Reggie for a few more minutes here. For the bonus episode, you can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn all about that, and to get a bunch of other bonus episodes. And Lance, is there anything I'm forgetting?
Oh, so much.
And that is going to do it for this episode of The Brass Junkies. How about that?
So cool. I should hit him up and take some lessons on some of the production stuff. I'm fascinated I wasn't familiar with his stuff ahead of time, except for No BS, and now I really want to hear it and kind of look under the hood and figure out how does this stuff happen. I don't know that I'm ever going to be good at any of it, but it's I think it's an indication of where. I think it's an indication of fertile ground for people to go exploring.
Yes. Well, and if you go to his website, which we link to in the show notes, you can see that he has got, he offers both private lessons, but he also offers composition lessons. And I'm not going to speak for him, but I have a strong feeling that he would totally be willing to do like a, toys lesson as well, like in terms of DAWs, and in terms of he held up a couple of them for us. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what he does, and he's just, you can tell that he gets ideas all the time. Mm-hmm. Like you could just think he's one of those people, that, as Seth Godin always says, when people ask him, like, how do you get so many good ideas? I don't have any good ideas. Like, Seth Godin's question is always, do you have any bad ideas? And so it's like, it's all about, it's a muscle, right? Creativity is not like a character trait. It's like, it's an action, it's like the result of acting. And you can just hear that he's like, I mean, what we just unpacked how, like, he's like he's approaching in a new way, like actually operating a bass trombone.
Yeah, fundamentals of the instrument. I mean, it's taught and played.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And we didn't get into it, and I don't want to go too far down this road necessarily, but one of the challenges that we have as particularly low brass, I'll say particularly low brass, and maybe it's just euphonium and tuba the more I think about it, is having a variety of colors with which you can play. Mm-hmm. And so there's an advantage if you want to think of it that way. He was talking about that, if you use this valve combination or this on either a slide instrument or a valve, what we do, it doesn't sound as open as some of the notes are. And you could decide that that's a feature and not a flaw. You could decide that I'm going to use this and lean into the fact that the color is slightly different, and that will help me get this idea out that I want to get out in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, technique exists to express ourselves. Right. And so There's something that is very noble to being able to play a Rochu etude in 3 octaves with the exact same tone quality on every single note at all dynamic levels in all those registers.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say that that's like better than, or more correct than, or more impressive than, or that kind of thing.
What's this homogeneity thing? There was, I can't remember what article it was, but it was talking about how it used to be that each orchestra had a very distinctive sound, and now they've become much more homogenized. And so if that's the case with our instruments, then of course, then there's a standardization of the quote unquote acceptable or beautiful sound, and then how you go about doing it. But he comes at it from a completely different angle, which is I have this idea for this thing that I need to put out into the world, and then I don't need to be limited by anything, just my ability to get it out of my head and into the universe.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Every time we have somebody on like this, I'm just like, it gives me hope for future generations of brass players everywhere.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, this was really good. Oh, guess what happened yesterday, Lance LaDuke?
You did your 2019 taxes.
No, I'm not that current with my taxes. No, I'm quite current with my taxes in case you work for the IRS. No, my father, George Hitz, turned 80.
Hey, what day? Yesterday,
the 22nd. We're recording this on Sunday, a couple days before it's releasing. So yeah, the May 22nd. Yeah, he turned 80. How about that? So I posted this. On Facebook, which got resonated with a lot of people. But from the time I was in 4th grade until I graduated from high school, and that delineation is because
23 years.
Yes, exactly. I moved to Chicago, which was 1,000 miles away. But my parents did not miss a single concert of mine from 4th grade through 12th grade. And I was in band, jazz band, and chorus. I was in 6 years worth of the Massachusetts Youth Wind Ensemble at NEC. I was in 3 years worth of the Greater Boston Youth Symphony at BU. I'm talking every Empire Brass performance, seminar performance class, every Young Artist Orchestra class, every Young Artist Orchestra quintet chamber performance, 4 years of all states, 6 years of districts. I mean, like Harvard Radcliffe Orchestra for a year or two, like didn't miss a single one. And on top of that, he used to get to work crazy early. And so on Fridays, he was able to leave so early that he would drive us home, like our carpool. He would drive home every Friday from Boston. He would leave work so early that an hour away, he would get to rehearsal by 5, and he would listen to rehearsal for 2 hours a week. Every week, he sat by, every one of my friends knew him by name. He knew all of the conductors. He did the same thing with the youth orchestra. He would just sit out there with his paper for an hour or two every week and listen. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's a gift.
Yeah,
That's
right?
a great gift, yeah.
Yep. And when he asked Sam Palafian, when I was 15, I didn't know he was doing this. Does my kid actually have a chance to be a professional musician? And
despite the answer,
and Sam said, yeah, no chance. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. Yeah, he's an arrogant little dude. No, he said, Sam very, very generously said, if you get him the right equipment, then he will have no problems putting food on the table. And that was all he needed to hear. My mother bought me the Rudy Meinl tuba that was that was owned by Charles Villarubia and owned by Sam. And yeah, I mean, before Charles, bought it like that. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Happy birthday, Gramps.
Happy birthday. We just came back from vacation. Actually, the reason for the vacation was my father-in-law's 80th birthday.
Oh.
And my mom's 80th birthday was in January, so there's a lot of that going on.
There you go. Yep.
How long have your parents been married? 15, 16 years by now, right?
72. So for 49 years. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Coming up on 50. How about that?
It's pretty good. Yeah, my in-laws, they celebrate their 60th here in a month.
Wow.
He just graduated from high school. He was a year or two out of high school, and she was still.
Holy
Maybe she
moly.
just graduated, and then he enlisted in the Navy, and then they went. He's a couple years older than her.
Well, she's younger than him, and she's about to. So she got married when she was 18.
So yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was. How do I put this politely? I was not marriage material at age 18. That's, I think, the fastest way to put that. So most succinct way.
Right now.
Let's just move right along. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Happy birthday, George.
Yep. Happy birthday, Dad. Thank you, Reggie. And that is going to do it for this episode of The Brass Junkies.
You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to hear the bonus episode featuring today's guest, please visit patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn how you can support the show and instantly access all bonus materials, as well as gain access to a special patron-only Facebook group. The Brass Junkies is produced by the amazing, wonderful, and truly inspirational Will Houchin. The theme music was composed by Fernando Dados and performed by Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. We are at Pray for Jens on Twitter and Instagram and have a Facebook page at facebook.com/prayforjens. You can find out more about the Brass Junkies and all the other Pedal Note Media podcasts at pedalnotemedia.com. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.